I believe you, but my Tommy gun don't. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Popcorn Watchlist podcast, where we discuss and celebrate what's going on in TV and film. I am your host, Xavier, and today on the panel is our usual crew. You've got Anthony, say what's up.
How's it going?
Got Danny, Infoman.
Hello.
And you got the young kid, Zach. What's up?
Yo, yo, yo.
All right, gentlemen. So, last time we recorded, we had a bit of homework that we were supposed to do. Anthony, would you like to remind us and everyone listening?
I had recommended that we watch the movie The Outfit.
That's correct. We were able to watch this over on Amazon Prime, so shout out to Prime for being able to have this on the database there. It's an awesome... I mean, if you want to get right into it, it's a movie starring Mark Rylance, great supporting cast, kind of more of like an intimate... Like you said, like kind of like some kind of crime thriller mystery solving going on there. A pretty lean runtime, but not too. But it felt like there was a lot in there. But I think I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. But what do you guys think?
It's like a little over than an hour and a half, right? Like an hour
40, 45,
give or take.
Yeah. I think the credits like hour 47. But, you get to the credits and you're like, okay. But rewinding back to the one that, what are your overall? Anthony, I actually want to hear our overall impressions, right?
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it, which is why I recommended it. To me, it was kind of like a throwback movie. Movies didn't really make anymore. Kind of like a old style, probably a movie that would have come out in the 80s or 90s, and a period piece. So this movie takes place when in like the
1956
50s.
Chicago.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a pretty cool old style movie that doesn't get made that often anymore. So I enjoyed it.
Are you calling Mark Rylance old? No, I'm kidding.
Yes, he is old.
I mean, to his credit, man, he really buoyed up and shored up this movie.
Yeah.
He just, as a simple proprietor of fine suits and linens in Chicago, almost like, post World War II gangland Chicago, he just has these different layers to him that just get revealed over the course of, it's like just one fateful night, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it is one night and one setting, like just all in one shot. Like, well, not one shot, but like all in one place. So
yeah, no, he plays what was it? I forget his last name, but he's known as Leonard
Burling. Is it Burling?
Burling, yeah, Burling. Leonard Burling, transplant from England, who decided to set up shop in Chicago and just wants to just be a simple cutter and
has his own tailor shop, but he's not a tailor.
Yeah, but he's not a tailor. You tell him that he's a tailor, he says, "No, sir, I'm a cutter." But that little, I said this to myself, that little bit of assertiveness whenever he said that always hid something underlying. Like, you can kind of tell that the guy is like either moving stuff around, or the guy is that Leonard has seen things or kind of experienced things, and he's just trying to be low key and live a simple life. I mean, he took like a minor pistol whack to the head, and
he was chill.
He was kind of annoyed, he's kind of obviously like in shock and pain, but not like distraught or distressed. Man kept a cool, level head.
He reminded me sort of like an Alfred type in a way.
Oh yeah, it's a mild mannered, but hey, they're gonna get their hands.
Yeah, like he could get stuff done, but also calling people master. Whatever their last name is.
Master Boyle, I think.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
Master, I forgot who the son was, but...
Richie.
Richie, yeah, Master Richie.
Yeah.
Master Richie.
Dylan O'Brien.
Dylan O'Brien,
he did pretty good in this one. Dylan O'Brien and Johnny Flynn.
I was really impressed with Johnny Flynn, too.
As Francis.
Yeah. On top of that, but like I guess as the plot kind of goes on, like I was gonna say as the plot gets weaved, but
I was gonna say thickens.
yeah, as it thickens, basically the Richie, who's like this big mob boss, Roy's son, he gets into in this entanglement with well, not that entanglement. He gets into a bit of a gangland situations, and he gets pegged with a marble, as they like to say. As they would like to say, I was like, who's still calling them marbles in the 50s?
Yeah, because he keeps saying marbles. I'm like, marbles? Like, okay, he keeps talking about the bullet.
Yeah.
And I would hear marble again. I'm like, wait, marble? No, bullet.
Yeah, and the whole point, I'm just like, and like Francis is there, and like he's like, oh, he got shot. He's like, sew him up, and basically getting Leonard into all this stuff. And then like as we find out more, like there's just a lot of layers and a lot of things get uncovered in the story. I don't know if we want to go full into the entire plot of it, but
just in case you didn't know, if you're listening or watching, we are going full spoilers.
Oh, we're going full spoilers. Okay, we're going full spoilers.
Because this movie came out last year, right? Yeah.
We're saying last year, but yeah.
What March?
In March? Okay, so just under a year. So
yeah. And it is available on Prime too, so you could stream it.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say it's a major motion movie like a Marvel or anything like that. So
I mean,
it came out on theaters.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
I mean,
March 18th.
Yeah, but it was like it's not like one of the like a big movie that everyone would have known about, but definitely
very low
it's
key.
one of those like low key like hidden gem kind of.
Yeah, small ensemble
movies.
Piece. A lot of stuff got put into the wardrobe and the design and the set. Kind of really made it seem like this. It's winter Chicago. Every character has a sort of like different flair to them, and not only from what they're wearing, but from their mannerisms, how they acted. It was I've honestly, like, as a general thing, or as a general experience, I really enjoyed it.
It had a cool like vibe and like setting to it. It kind of almost reminded me of the visuals like in Nightmare Alley.
Yeah.
Like that type of style. So
I liked also what was really cool too is using Leonard's like narration as like a transition for each act, just like how they get to the various levels of him creating the piece. The little anecdote of the customer saying, "No, I want," like he's sort of like how I know what I'm doing. The tailor knows what he's doing. Like we're gonna mess with the sleeves. Like, no, I want the. He's like, oh, we'll just take off the shoulders. No, I like the shoulders. Take the sleeves. He's like, okay, sure, we'll do what you want. And he does the exact opposite. The guy comes up, wow, that's exactly what I wanted. Yeah. So it's like the man knows what he's doing. Like, trust the man in his trade. He studied in Savile Row, very fancy part of London where all the fashion designers were.
And then like slowly in through the movie, you get like kind of like some quick flashbacks, like remembering of certain things, like the fire.
That was the main thing. Was this the fire? Yeah, it was just fire.
So like throughout the movie, you're trying to figure out like what happened, and then we slowly uncover,
some backstory.
The backstory of it.
He's like, yeah. I mean, that backstory. Not only you get the you uncover some of that backstory, but there's more like front story going on. Like you have Francis trying to make these power moves, then you have this is when you start thinking there's more to Leonard than meets the eye. That's like he starts sowing seeds of doubt into Richie, and then so Richie and Francis go at it. Only one comes out of it literally alive. Another one gets stuffed in a box, and then the plot thickens even more because then they bring in Mabel into it, which is Leonard's assistant, played by Zoe Deutsch, and there's even layers going on to her. How like she's looking to, Francis. The whole thing is like they're trying to find a rat because the whole MacGuffin of the movie is there's a secret tape that recorded a conversation, and that was going to go to the feds, but it also was going to this secret organized crime group called The Outfit. Name of the movie. But then they
With a
start
cool
using
logo.
what everybody wants, and Leonard, as you see, he starts slowly playing everybody along and kind of guiding them in one way, shape, or form. And again, no one suspects him. Like
manipulating and making them think what they want to think.
yeah, all based off of what they want. Because it's what they want, he knows how to manipulate and misdirect. That was, again, very masterful, while like showing that like he's playing off that he's a little scared, but then also like, no, I still have this together.
Like still being able to like own the situation.
He shows everybody that he's like this quiet, mild-mannered man. Like, oh, I don't really know anything except for
Everything.
my craft. But at the same time, he's like doing some mind games in the background. It's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, mind games. There's a little sleight of hand, dude. It's so good.
Yeah, at one point there's like twist on twist on twist.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah, there's.
like if Shyamalan did this movie, but he did not.
It's like you have the twist between like Francis still living and then trying to run away from something, but then Richie's dad, who's the big crime boss, coming over because my son got shot. I gotta see where he's at, and then the big crime boss is like, I'll just wait for him. You go find him. And that time, then the crime boss Roy starts noticing things like, oh hey, what's my son's coat doing out here? Why is he outside in like winter?
That was cool when he's like,
They had that whole conversation where he was telling him,
He's like, this is the weapon I use. He's like, and this is what I use for my line
my
of work.
craft.
Yeah.
yeah, and
Like
he pulled out the shears.
and then Leonard is like, oh, why are you telling me this, sir? He's like, because that's my son's coat right over there.
Yeah,
It's like something's fishy going
And something's
on.
going on.
And then like you're just stressed because blood is dripping from the
that.
From the box,
Yeah.
the
box,
cabinet
yeah.
or whatever,
the chest that he's in.
and you're just like, oh boy.
Yeah,
This
they
is
start,
like-
and it gets tenser because they start using Mabel as a basically like a
Bait or
as a sort of leverage tool, because they're trying to like kind of torture her or kind of like rough her up a bit to her to spill the guts, and then he gets that phone call and he's like, oh, he's over here, he knows this address, and you're like, what do you mean? He's like, oh, because that's the address that I actually sent the rival gang to send him over there. And then Francis is like, what? I just, I've got to look at my self-interest to betray the man who made me who I am. Like, so, there's no honor among thieves in that regard. But then they find the idea they're going to sell the tape, and they're able to find it and give it away. But then it's not really the right tape. And like, there's
Just
so many
twist on
fun
twist.
twists and turns. But again, all expertly handled. Like, if you're into kind of mysteries and stuff, you may kind of pick up on what's going on, but like you won't find out again. Again, spoilers, or like this whole rat that they're figuring out, they say is Mabel, and they're like, oh, we're gonna find out and get the outfit, but then it ends up being a point where everybody's being played by Leonard because there is no outfit.
Yeah.
Like he's just the one feeding all the misinformation from the beginning, as like the master mind gamer, as Anthony would put it. Like just everything all like in one point is so good. I at that point I was like, oh, okay, this just took a really cool turn where like basically all the people you want to win like end up like winning somehow. And you're like, all right, this is working out. But you think it's like, oh, maybe he's so smart and whatever. But then again, as the movie goes on, you find out more that it's not just I was, an apprentice in London and then moved to America. It was, I used to be in a very rough crowd, and then I got out, moved as an apprentice, and then some horrible things happened to my wife and child, and then I moved. And, you see it towards the end finally reveals some more and more that this dude's got tats, this dude is rough,
ripped.
this dude is
Hardcore.
lean, and he's got freaking...
Shearer machine.
He has those shears in his hand, and like he said to Roy earlier, like this is my weapon, or this is my tool of my trade. And Francis found out just how far that tool of that trade went
Into his neck.
Francis died like 3 times in this movie.
He died twice, I think.
No, and then
He got shot
yeah.
like twice.
Fire, he died 3 times.
Got in the neck and then burned down with the building.
Yeah, he got shot 3 times by the LaFontaine group. Which funny. Then they even gave him the fake tape, which I was like, damn, like they just wombo comboed everybody, so that the feds get the tape that they want, the LaFontaines get the random tape that they were looking for, and
because they got the tape that had the actual information that was being given out.
Yeah,
but then he was recording also at the same time.
Everybody's
with the confessing
of the murders. They're like, oh, I murdered this guy, and all this stuff, and so all of that's there. And then Mabel got to keep her cut of basically her whole cut of the money to just go start a new life. What she wanted to do it anyway, like 1950s Paris. It's great, good for her. And
by the end, she wanted to bring Leonard along, even though at the beginning she said that she just wanted to.
Yeah, get on out of here. And she's like, no, come with me. He's like, what are you going to do? Why are you going to have me around when you have your best years ahead of you? I was like, dang, that's great. Like, good for him. And then it's just that whole kerfuffle again with the resurrected Francis. Dude got shot like 3 times. And he got up. And
stabbed.
Then he got stabbed. And then he got burned.
And then he got burned.
I mean, he said multiple times throughout the movie that he had gotten shot 6 times for the boss. And he was still alive.
I took 6 marbles for the boss.
So
that's a pretty bad accent, right?
Some tiny marbles.
Yeah, I don't know. They're not shooting him in the right places.
They're hitting him everywhere but in the major.
Yeah.
He definitely did not get shot in the shoulder.
If it was a shoulder shot, it would have been it.
That would have been an over. Yeah, these guys, they killed. Oh man, that whole bit when they turned on him, or not when they turned him, when Leonard reveals that like, yo, he's over there, and he's like over there. He's like, oh, okay.
Repeated his line so that they.
Are you stealing from us?
Yeah, it's just like,
you trying to rob us?
You trying to rob us? Where's the rest of the money? He's like,
and then he has his hand gestures like, oh, there's a guy with a gun.
Yeah, over there, and then it's just nope. Yeah, that was hella clever.
Yeah, they really did a good job of playing with your expectations and what you thought, who you thought was doing the bad stuff, or who you thought was in charge of the tapes, or who was part of the outfit. They did a really good job of the actors of making sure that I might suspect this person, and then they would do something like, okay, now maybe it's somebody else, and then whoever they point to next, they're like, wait, so is it them? Well, maybe it's
no.
So
it's a 180.
Yeah, there was a lot of back and forth, and I think they really did a really good job with that.
Even in the beginning, where he tells Dylan Ryan's character that he's the rat.
Yeah.
Where at first he's kind of like he wanted to shoot him, and he's like, nah, you're screwing.
Yeah, Richie's like, you're crazy.
He was dying of laughter.
He's also almost dying for real. But that whole bit is like, I am the rat. It's just like, he's not wrong. Like when he said that, I was like, there's truth to this.
Yeah, for sure.
That was.
He's like, oh, look at you.
They play it for real tension, but then we're gonna play it off as so absurd it can't be real. And
then the next scene, he's playing them both against each other because he's like, I know that you're going after the rat. Yeah, he incepted the whole idea of trying to find the rat in him better than Leo DiCaprio. He didn't have to go use a machine.
But him pushing it, why wouldn't I be? I was like, there's something else going on here.
He's like, you're just a tailor. Like, oh, okay.
Yeah, hey, English.
You did.
He's like, I can't lie to anybody. He's like, you've never said something and not really mean what's behind it? I thought you were English. Mm-hmm. That was a fun line. And, Roy just had that really good, the crime boss had that really good command to him. And then the head lady of the other, LaFontaine group, she walked in, with gravitas and class, and you're just like, oh, these people, it's cool, they get their stuff done. And it was also cool that she was finding ways to still relate to Leonard based off their own shared experience of coming up from nothing and having their own thing, and we get up and someone comes in and tries to snatch it up, and it's kind of similar to what was happening just to Leonard's own business right there. So there was a lot of cool themes, commonalities to it, and just tying it up with all of his little monologues to transition between acts. I love that. That was a really nice little touch. I mean, maybe it's a major touch because it creates the bones of the story. But I thought that was done really well.
She was just in Knock at the Cabin.
That's right. Yes, she was the nurse.
Because I remember when I saw, I was like, feel like I just saw her in something. I'm like, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
One of the things that we were mentioning before we were recording this podcast was it felt kind of like a play almost. You know, like when you're in a small set and like people are coming in and out
Different
of the shop.
Yeah, and you're using the space effectively.
Yeah.
You know, everything from a production standpoint, they used those like 3 rooms or so. Like you have like the main lobby out there, the little antechamber with his office where he fell asleep in, and then you have
And then the back area,
where he's actually where all the the material and the actual work tables there. And I love the opening where he's sketching out like where the suit would go and then the measurements. Like that looked legit. That was really cool.
Oh, and when he like spoilers, but when he hid like the tape in the actual like jacket, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, the whole tape job's like, that's nuts. When did that happen? But also you're like, okay, yeah, like you believe it because this man can kind of really weave in and do quite a lot.
Sanctuary.
Yeah, man, that's his spot.
A couple of things that I found pretty funny in the movie were I think the whole joke about the blue jeans, which I thought was a nice little thing to it.
I escaped because of blue jeans.
I had to get out because of blue jeans. Blue
They were
jeans are
dying
taking
of
my
laughter
trade.
every time he said the blue jeans.
Like those blue jeans,
It almost made
man.
it sound like it was like a derogatory term for someone.
It's like that
actual
James Dean
jeans.
that James Dean rolls up on a motorcycle and everybody likes it, but what I make is timeless. I was like, damn, son. He's like, what I do is timeless. Like there's so much pride in his work. You know, he's not dealing with this, very difficult and fraught situation he finds himself in, but he just falls back on that. It's like, no, what I do is I do art. And
That's just a fad.
You could tell like the other people did also respect him too. Like, he was known for like his craft.
Oh no, for sure. Yeah, like
Roy Boyle was his first customer.
Correct.
In that shop there.
Yeah.
So him being a crime boss, of course, like
he didn't discriminate. He didn't discriminate. Like, I don't want your business. It's just like, hey, I was just trying to make my trade, and that's it. Like,
Yeah.
I wonder if he was paying protection or anything like that.
Maybe.
It could be. That's the little things that like we didn't have to know so much, but there was just enough detail spread about to understand the kind of situation or the kind of just the what kind of like I don't want to say situation, but what kind of like predicament or where Leonard stood within the whole like scheme of those of like that kind of scene. So it's like he's just kind of like he's not like a a Switzerland or like a safety ground. He's just just an honest man, or so that they thought, just an honest man trying to make a living, but also not trying to burn them down from from the inside out with a very skilled and masterful ploy. Like, I love that. He's like, that Al Capone, he's like, isn't he dead? I was just like, man, it's playing him like a fiddle now. So you look back on it. It's cool. Anthony, did you end up seeing this originally in the theater, or did you find it streaming?
I saw it on Prime.
Okay.
Yeah.
It just caught your eye and like, oh, okay.
No, yeah, I mean, I remember seeing trailers of it when it came out last year. It looked like something I may have wanted to watch, but it just passed by and was probably only in theaters for a few weeks. So I just never got around to watching it in theaters. And then I think it might have been on HBO maybe earlier last year, and then I realized it was on Prime. Like, oh, sweet, I could finally watch it now. So, but yeah, I was always somewhat interested in it, but I'm glad I watched it. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Glad you recommended it because I had never seen the trailer. I've never heard of the movie, so it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I think it came out around the same time as Everything Everywhere All at Once. So it's kind of like
It kind of got overshadowed.
Yeah, that was the one indie darling that came out at that point that kind of just overshadowed this one. So
Well, looking at the numbers here, like the budget for the movie was $5 million.
yes,
And the box office was $4 million.
Oh no!
So it was
Slight underperformance.
Yeah.
Slight, it's a lot.
hopefully now maybe in streaming and
because of our recommendation,
pick up.
people will
We'll have a big
because the
influence.
popcorn watch list, that streamer count's gonna go up. Gotta count
those
for
100
something.
million subscribers.
Well, there's 4 more at least
Yeah,
for each of us.
pretty much.
But the Rotten Tomatoes score here, critics rated it an 85,
Nice.
and then the audience has rated it a 92.
Oh,
Really?
very nice.
So
I didn't know the score was that high. I knew it was generally favorable. They're like,
it
hey,
was-
Mark Rylance like does the
it's a
heavy
good
lifting.
movie. It's a very
but
solid movie.
It's just it's good.
My only complaint with the movie was that I think it had a little bit too much cursing in it. I felt like it wasn't really needed, and they were just kind of like F-bombing for just to do it because they're in Chicago.
maybe I
Oh,
guess
yeah.
the time and the location setting.
Yeah, but it seemed like
I
it
wasn't
was
around in the
a
50s.
A
I don't
little
know
excessive.
how
I guess
how
all
fast
crime
and loose-
bosses need to curse every sentence or whatever.
or crime boss's sons.
Yeah.
that made more sense to me than the actual crime boss himself. But
Yeah.
I don't. I have never heard anything like firsthand accounts of the 50s of people swearing like sailors, unless they were actual sailors. But because our usual depiction of the 50s is very Leave It to Beaver and the I Love Lucy style of stuff.
Hey there, son. How you doing?
That's more like 30s.
Pop.
Oh, that.
It carried on. It carried
Yeah,
on.
I carried on. No, I thought that, hey, now, see, like, you're trying to do these, gonna get my Tommy gun. Like,
It's like
Tommy
20s,
gun
30s.
don't.
yeah, I believe you, but my Tommy gun don't. I mean, hey, Home Alone is set in Chicago.
There you go.
Yeah, there you
Have a
go.
count to
No
10.
cursing in that movie.
1, 2, 10.
10.
Normally, it wouldn't. It really, like I wouldn't care that there was cursing in it, but I felt like there was too much that I noticed it. I'm like,
It was like
I feel like
you
every
picked it up after
every
a while.
It was, like,
sentence
distracting.
Yeah, I, was
I
like,
didn't feel that
it was
as
a little.
much.
It was just a little.
Well, because it was
unnecessary.
only with the scenes with anything that had to do with, like the crime. Like the
Yeah,
crime
but they were in almost every
members.
Like the whole movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was like,
True.
yeah,
Boss guys
like
were everywhere.
Mark
only from
Rylance and
them.
Zoe Deutsch, I don't think curse. I think she might have cursed like once.
Yeah, they should cuss a couple times.
After the fact, after she gets found out. But yeah, anything that had to do with the gangsters. Yeah, I just felt like it was noticeable, so that's the only reason why I pointed it out. But other than that, I liked it because it's definitely a movie like I would recommend to like my dad. He would probably love this type of movie, but I know he would probably complain. He's like, man, they're cursing too much, like it's unnecessary. So if I were to recommend it to him, I'll let him know, like, hey, couple of
Yeah, it's just
F-bombs in here.
Be careful. There's
A couple.
There's more than a few sprinkled in there.
Yeah. But other than that, yeah, I definitely would recommend it to anybody.
Yeah, the score does the job. It's pretty,
It's
moody.
a Splat, I think, right?
Was
Is
it
it?
a splat?
No.
Yeah, it
Anthony.
is.
Is it nominated? Is he nominated?
Because I saw it in the credits.
He must be nominated then.
He's Anthony's already like shuddering and having.
Forget it. I'm not recommending this movie.
It is the splat.
It is. You're like, you know what? I'm not
Alexander.
recommending
Whatever.
this.
Well, he didn't get nominated for an Oscar, so it's all good.
That was the name that stood out to me in the
If
credits.
he got nominated and like Hans Zimmer didn't for Top Gun, then I would have been like, get out of here. Get out of here.
Of all the things.
Another thing that I found kind of funny that happened twice in this movie was where Leonard and Francis both share like a cigarette. They both just kind of like stand there. He pulls out the box. They both get a smoke and
Puff.
And they hit
they're like
They
a
hit the
tense
puff
scene,
puff
like
pass.
like with what's his name, Monk, the
Monk,
bodyguard.
the big bodyguard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he goes up to give
He
the
goes
light.
up there, like they both just kind of stand there. He opens up the box of the cigarettes, and then it doesn't work. They're just kind of like looking at each other, like as they're
Okay.
getting ready to smoke, and then like that scene, and then it happened again later on too, which was
Monk
kinda funny.
seemed pretty chill, you know?
Yeah. Too bad he's probably dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got ambushed.
Ambush. Oh,
Speaking of ambushed, huge tangent. Randomly at Publix the other day, I saw a Reese's Puffs ambush edition.
What?
I took a picture of it, so
An
I gotta show
ambush
you.
edition?
Yeah.
Okay, I gotta watch that. Yeah, we have a little inside joke when it comes to being about ambushes. That's pretty great. And what? Like I still don't.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Just
Alright,
don't get
so-
ambushed by cereal.
For the movie, what do you guys end up rating it?
For breakfast.
We'll go with Anthony first since
Me
you
first.
you recommended the movie.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really find anything that wrong with it. I'd probably give it like a 7.5, 7.5, like a hard 7.
A hard
Hard 7.5.
7.5.
Hard 7.5.
Nice.
Hard 7.5.
Maybe close to an 8, 7.5, 8. Yeah, it's a very well made movie. I liked it.
Nice.
For me, I'm gonna be up there with you, a little bit higher, and we get an 8.
Look at that. Look at that.
I will also be giving it an 8. Thought it was pretty solid. And
Man, I might have to bump mine up.
I think you're going to have to because I would also give it a very solid 8.
Oh.
It's just a small, good, well put together movie. Like you said, like it's better than the sum of its parts, and it's also a great acting showcase for Mark Rylance.
Yeah, he definitely did a lot of the
he's
carrying
awesome.
on, yeah.
Yeah, and that's not a bad thing.
No, it's not.
And because all
it
the
was
supporting
meant,
roles,
it was meant to be that way.
yeah, it's meant to be this kind. It's almost like we were talking about. I think Danny, you saw Tar. So it's almost like you were talking about that, how it's like, oh, this movie's kind of like a vehicle for Kate Blanchett to just
For
go
sure.
in.
To get an Oscar.
This is for
This
sure.
is something
for-
like, hey, this is a Mark Rylance showcase,
Yeah.
and the other actors they're there as supporting. Hey, we're going to support the main role of Leonard and these
Which they
main
all did
pieces, which they all
pretty
did
great
really
job.
well. Yeah, everybody played their roles. Nobody was just like, oh, this guy's acting's wooden or like the writing's bad. No, like everything just came together really well.
Yeah.
And I love that they used this a small, like intimate kind of setting.
I think that's what really stood out, like made it stand out because it is in that intimate setting.
And it makes it more tense too because like
Yeah.
you're all trapped in here. Or like there's a whole situation where like Francis tried to like, oh, let me just go out there. It's like no, you're not going anywhere yet. Like we need to figure this out. And you're like, oh snap.
Or
And
go
so-
leave so I could do this, and no one wants to leave.
Yeah, no one
And-
wants to actually go. And then hey, tell us the thing. But wait, you have a solid alibi. What's happening here?
And then that plus the runtime, I feel like it was a pretty solid runtime.
Yeah, I don't think it
Didn't-
overstayed its welcome.
Didn't need to be longer, didn't need to be shorter. I think it was just like in the perfect spot for this type of film. So
Yeah.
And
So it sounds like all of us
In and
except
out.
for one
Animal
style. Double. Or would it be a double triple?
I mean, I could just like round it up and give it like 7.8.
Look at this
Okay,
guy.
that's-
That point too is just because of the cursing, man.
And the water.
The water?
Yeah.
In which
7.8, too much water.
Too much water. not enough
7.8.
CG water. Not enough CG water.
7.8, too much cursing.
Not enough fire.
Do you know that reference, Danny? No.
I don't want to get blasted by a 3-letter website that had an old Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire review.
Yeah, their original Ruby and Sapphire review was that it had too much water.
Set in
Okay.
islands. What do you want?
But it's a game about balance. Land and sea. Of
Yeah.
course, there's going to be more water than typical, but whatever. That's another.
I won't get into it because I never really played that game fully. Anyway,
You didn't? How dare you?
look, man, I was on
I have
that
it if you want to borrow Ruby or
PlayStation 2
Sapphire.
tip.
Or
Yeah,
Emerald. Do you want
we
one?
averaged out a score of an 8. So
So
very
Pretty
well
solid.
made, solid
Yeah.
movie.
And I think that with it being solid, like it's easily accessible to everybody. Like you don't have to be like a comic book nerd to watch this, or like a history buff, or really into a particular directorial style. This is just a
is
nice
this an original or is it based on a book or something?
I don't know.
Let me look
I
it
It's
up.
just
could've
an old
sworn.
style caper.
Infoman, do your thing. But like I said, like it is like a really like just fun, like not like fun in the sense that like it's a good movie to sit down and like, hey, I got
Little-
nothing to watch.
Little
And-
crime thriller.
yeah, and it's just you'll not regret giving it the time to watch it. That's my main kind of stamp on the movie is it's definitely worth the watch. It's a lot of fun. The thrill is also really fun too, and the twists and turns that go on in the story. If you're listening to this and you've seen the movie, I'm pretty sure you can agree. If you're listening to this and you haven't seen the movie, we kind of spoiled major plot points, but that's on you.
We told him at the beginning.
Yeah, we told you. Hopefully, if you stopped, went to watch the movie, and then continued our episode here, we'd be much appreciated. But also, you'd be better for it because you can understand what the hell we're talking about.
And then for anyone wondering, it is not based off anything.
Yeah.
Would you put in like a spy category or more like a just like
Mystery
Criminal.
thriller.
It's more like
I
a
think
mystery.
more of like suspense.
It's a
thriller.
mystery and suspense. Yeah, it's like a mystery thriller because it's kind of like what's the name?
Here
of
it
that
says
movie?
that it's an American. It's a psychological crime drama thriller.
That's like
how-
4 genres. It's partly psychological because you have people playing each
Mind
other.
games.
You got mind games.
And then
So it's a crime
I
thriller.
wanted it to have some form of spy thing in it, just so I could say it was a Bridge of Spies. But we couldn't go.
Maybe
there.
it's a
We couldn't
Bridge of
go there.
Spies into another Mark
Maybe.
Rylance feature of Bridge of
Exactly.
Spies,
Exactly.
directed by the Steven Spielbergio. But for some reason, this movie reminded me a little bit of this movie with John Travolta and Samuel Jackson called Basic. That was also sort of like a crime mystery thing, like not so much a whoddunit
They
as
were
a,
in
like who took
military,
it.
right?
Yeah, yeah. But like the outfit's more like it's more of a whodunit in the sense it's like who took the tape or who is the rat and how do we take that in order to get Leonard out of this precarious situation that, as we find out, he orchestrated all himself. It was so cool. Yeah, I thought it was awesome. So gentlemen, any final thoughts? I think we all made our stamps in terms of review and
Pretty
the
solid.
score.
Yeah. I think we're all aligned on this movie, which is pretty cool to see.
Great
Nice,
little film,
good. I'm
yeah.
glad. The director wrote The Imitation Game, so
There we go.
has
I was
a
also
pretty
gonna
good,
say-
pretty good pedigree.
Good
It's
track
in
record.
I think it's part of the same studio too. Focus Features, I think, did
Probably,
did
yeah.
Imitation Game, and I think The Theory of Everything, if I'm not mistaken.
Ooh.
So they have a
Kind of want to watch
track
Bridge of
record
Spies
of
now.
good movies. Tom
No, I'm
Hanks.
dead. Yeah, I'm dead serious. I kind of want to watch Bridge of Spies.
The BFG.
Because he's in it too, right?
Go watch Dunkirk again. If you don't want something thrilling.
You know, I didn't realize that he was in Dunkirk until just now, a little bit ago.
Oh, he
Yeah,
was.
like-
Wasn't he
the whole movie.
the guy in the little boat, right?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
with,
my
with,
memory is so
with-
vague about the movie. I have to rewatch.
No, with
with
Killing Murphy.
Yeah, and Barry Keoghan.
And that's Barry Keoghan.
He died
He
on the
was
boat.
like the-
That's right.
he
He's
was
the
the
kid.
young kid.
He's the kid's son.
With-
The young kid that
yeah.
died on the boat.
Zach, that was you. No. Zach,
The young kid.
that was you. Holy crap! I didn't know
I gotta
that.
rewatch Dunkirk.
Me
'cause
too.
I watched
I haven't
it
seen it in a
once,
while.
and my memory is kind of foggy on it.
We watched it, Anthony and I,
So
in
good.
IMAX, and
Fort
just
Lauderdale. So good.
like just the everything
Yeah,
with the
it's
ticking.
It's a Nolan film.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the ticking clock, man, was
So
too
July.
good.
You guys got to get ready for July.
Oppenheimer.
Yes,
Hell
sir.
yeah, man.
You're gonna be Oppenheimer. You're gonna be
I'm
Oppenheimer
gonna
so hard.
rep it again. Go watch Oppenheimer in the Fort Lauderdale IMAX
If you live in South
if you
Florida.
live in
Or just you just fly down
near
here.
these parts.
So
Yeah.
before we wrap it up here, X, let us know what our next week's movie is going to be.
can't
Our
wait.
next week's movie, well, it's gonna be something that we're gonna be watching very soon. It's very highly anticipated. So we're gonna hear our thoughts on Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, or as I like to call it, the Jonathan Majors showcase.
Just all about Kang.
Yeah, it's just gonna be all Kang. Psych, it's just gonna be a secret thing on Creed. No, as a side note, there is that other movie that he did that came out, I think, at Sundance this year.
Devotion.
No, that was last.
No, that was that's not the Top Gun prequel.
That was his father.
No, it's called Magazine Dreams. I kind of wanted to get around to watching it, but like I can't find. If you weren't at Sundance, you didn't watch it. So
It might, I guess, come
So-
out later. In the,
Yeah.
yeah,
So that means it has to get purchased by a studio, right?
I think so. Yeah. So it's about Jonathan Majors' character. He's like an aspiring bodybuilder, and basically like he's trying to fit into the whole bodybuilding community, but there's also a lot of like internal conflict and external conflict. It's kind of a drama built into that. So
I mean,
you know.
he was in shape at the same time with Ant-Man and Creed.
and
so.
this movie was really they filmed it really quickly. Like I think it was only like took 26 days or something.
Yeah, because he didn't want to lose his mass. that
Yeah,
got
he
from Creed.
couldn't lose his mass, and Kang could use it too. I mean, Kang probably has it anyway. Who cares? Yeah, like it took was filmed in 24 days. I'm sorry, I was wrong.
So this
By 2
year,
days.
it's Jonathan Majors versus Pedro Pascal, right? Is that what it is?
Yeah, that's what it is.
All right.
Yeah, that's
But
that-
movies versus TV shows.
We'll see. Who
movies and
wins.
TV shows.
We'll see
Jonathan
who wins,
Majors just rules
I'm
the
sure
big screen,
Pedro Pascal will be in a movie later this year.
and Pedro Pascal
For sure.
is all. Yeah, he's actually going to be in something, but there's an actual like movie coming that he's coming out in that. For the life of me, I cannot remember, so I'm cheating.
Movie.
Yeah, like a real movie.
As opposed to just a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
A movie film.
But
Movie.
we're excited for Ant-Man. As of recording, the reviews came out for Ant-Man,
Yeah.
which
They're very
Mixed.
Very
mixed.
mixed.
Very mixed.
Like
That's
Eternals
interesting.
mixed.
but
Well,
we'll see.
we'll see,
Like,
man.
This is the first movie to start off Phase 5, so I see it as like the first episode of a larger story, so who knows?
Yeah, let's see.
We could see.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. So we hope you guys are at least mildly interested in it too. We'll have a very kind of quick discussion and rundown of that for next time. So stay tuned till then. And for that, we'll be signing off. We'll be popping off till next time. Thank you so much for tuning in. And catch us again on our social media pages through Instagram, Twitter. We'll upload some of fun clips also through YouTube. So please check out and engage with us there. And once again, thank you very much and catch you next time.
Later, guys.
See ya.
Bye.